military duties within the last calendar year, so that's 1 January through 31 December 2014, then there's an exemption that you qualify for, and you'll have to have like a copy of your orders or something to show that you deployed. Again, time's running out. Go to the tax office. Most all of these are going to require they send you to the County Veteran Service Office for a letter confirming your eligibility, but don't start with them because you got they can't protect your eligibility. You got to file for the exemption or discount, and that protects your eligibility, and then work on whatever supporting evidence might be needed in your particular case. 1 March, so that means this coming Friday, which would be 27th February, I think, is the real cutoff. I haven't heard anything that says they're going to extend it through Monday, so.
Exactly, that's the deadline, March 1st. You can file later, but if you want it to be effective now, you need to do it now. And Glenn gave you all the great information on that. I just was, we got a lot going on here at American Warrior Radio today, and we've got a call in to Charlie. Our engineer, Vince, left a message for him. Hopefully, Charlie, if you're listening, you'll be calling in before noon so we can get you on the air and you can find out what you won, which is incredible, isn't it, Glenn?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, my gosh.
Yeah,
I'm jealous.
I'm torqued. I wanted to win.
Well, also, I was on the line trying to get a hold of Gary Varley, who's the chief pilot and general manager of Beachside Helicopters for David, who's the owner. And this is a great company with really good people behind it. And he was going to join us, but guess what, people? He had a flood of people come in and want to go flying.
I was just thinking he must be up there in the air. And
yep.
We don't want to talk to him while he's flying.
No. So he just texted me and said that he is up in the air flying away. So Gary and all your passengers, have a blast because we are going to see you next weekend. That's right, everybody. February 28th. That's a Saturday, and Sunday, March 1st, from 9:30 to 3:30, you've got to come out to Beachside Helicopters. It's at 475 Manor Drive on Merritt Island, Florida. It's out there at the Merritt Island Airport.
I was going to say it's a Merritt Island Airport for those that are familiar with that area over there.
Exactly, and it's just a phenomenal opportunity for you to do something fun with you and your family, and it's inexpensive. Yes, it's a fundraiser. Heck, you know, we like to have fun, but we need to help our troops at the same time. So for 40 bucks, you're going to get a helicopter ride and some eats, whether it's breakfast, lunch, or whatever. You're gonna be well taken care of. AVET Project always does everything top drawer. Am I right, Glenn?
Oh, absolutely. And again, it's the place, the local veterans helping organization, not for profit, that I always have recommended for people to, if you can donate time or if you can donate money, do it to AVET, because it's staying local and it's helping local. And all these big guys you see on TV, like I mentioned last week, they don't give us any money.
No, AVET Project does not accept any government money. No taxpayer funds go to help us help our troops. We depend on some corporate sponsorships, very few grants that are available. But folks, please, please, you're hearing me right now. I don't want to beg. Don't you want to help us help them? Like Glenn said, you can volunteer. But even better, you can send a donation. It's real quick. Just go to avetproject.org, find the donate button, click on it, whether it's $5, $50, or $500. We'll take it and we'll apply it directly to our programs and services, because I'm here to tell you, 98.5 cents of the very few dollars that do come in go directly to programs and services. The balance, the penny and a half on a dollar, goes for fuel in the box truck and other, you know, some supplies and warehouse rent. So your money is
going for expenses, so it's not going for salary.
No, that's a good point. Nobody at AVET Project makes a dime. Nobody gets a paycheck. We're all involved in this because we love our country and we support our troops. So get with it, people. Please, you listen to American Warrior Radio every Saturday, and we hear from you that you really enjoy the information and the entertainment we bring you. And what's our magic word around here?
Free!
You know how often Glenn and I get to say that? It's incredible, and we love it.
You absolutely are correct, Aaron. And before we forget, I want to tell them remind them here that you've got to make a reservation for these helicopter rides.
Oh yes, good.
And call 321-406-0406. That's 321-406-0406 to make that reservation. And it's next Saturday from 9:30 to 3:30, so get with your reservation.
Exactly, and it's going to be fun. Just tell them you heard it on American Warrior Radio and AVET Project, and you want to get together and have some fun and go fly in a helicopter. It's going to be a blast. All the information is up on AVET Project's Facebook page and the website and American Warrior Radio's Facebook page, because we're just bringing it to you all the time. And there's also a Veterans Benefits page that it's up on. So just get plugged in here, folks. I'm glad you're listening to American Warrior Radio, but help us help them and spread the word about neat opportunities like this and so much more that AVET Project does, as Glenn said, for the local troops, and wherever we find a need, we're out there helping. I will tell you that on March 7th, which is coming up really quick, we're going to be helping the 124th Infantry Regiment here in Cocoa at the Cocoa Army. We're going to be feeding them breakfast because they're getting up tempo. They're training up because they're going to be deploying again. Again, I can't go into the details, but if you want to volunteer, you know, or better yet, come on, click the donate button. If you got $1 in your pocket, hey, when you go out and you have a cup of coffee, what's that, a few dollars, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the key word there is they're being deployed again.
Exactly, the Black Rhinos. So come on. I will just mention real quick that we've got so many things going on. One of them is we have a lot of support in the local neighborhood. And I want to highlight one right now, and that's Viera Self-Storage. Without people like this, we couldn't do what we do because we can't afford these things.
Oh, exactly.
So they're very generous. And Beth Ann Martinez, who's the manager of Viera Self-Storage, which is right off Highway 1, wanted me to mention to everybody out there. Now, her son is a special operator from the Army. Got out, used his GI Bill, and is going to graduate in May with a degree in finance.
Congrats!
No doubt. Ben, if you're listening, I will say this. He's just spoken with the Marine Corps, and he's actually going to accept a commission to go back in the military.
Okay, well, he's going back as an officer this time, so...
Yeah, and you know a little bit about that.
Way to go, yeah.
But the nice thing is, now, Glenn, he was an officer from day one. I was just a poor little enlisted guy. Ben is, once he's got his degree and his commission, he's going to be what we call a Mustang.
That's right, and that's a good thing because they have a deep down understanding of both sides of the fence, so to speak, the enlisted side of the house and then the officer side of the house. So I think they make great leaders. And
I want to share with you that Beth Ann Martinez, that's Ben's mom, is the manager of Viera Self-Storage, and she wanted me to throw this out there. Anybody that's active duty or veteran that needs a notarization, some document notarized.
Right. A lot of need for that as life goes on.
Exactly. You can reach her at 321-433-3333. The number again, 433-3333. And she has made the offer. She's going to provide free. That's why I let in with that. Glenn and I, you got to keep these pens and papers handy, people, because we're bringing you stuff that's free. So give Beth a call. If you have need for storage, you give her a call at Viera Self-Storage, 433-3333. And if you need something notarized, Beth, because of her love of AVET Project and support for us, and obviously the troops, is throwing that offer out there. So scratch that down and use it and spread it around. Now, Glenn, we've got, again, so much to talk about, but before we get to special monthly compensation, I know you had an update about something that's near and dear to our hearts here and is obviously, you know, long overdue. What are we talking about?
Yeah, we're talking about the brand new National Cemetery, Cape Canaveral National Cemetery, which is up in the Mem-Scottsmore area where construction is going. They started construction back in November of 2014, not too long ago, and it looks like it'll be somewhere, and I'm guessing the middle of 2016 when they'll be able to start with burials. I know some people who already had the deceased cremated, and they're holding the urns so that they can bury them there because it's close. Otherwise, the closest cemetery is Florida National Cemetery, which is over between Tampa and
not very convenient.
Ocala. Not very convenient is right. It'll be a beautiful place, as all the VA national cemeteries are. But for your planning purposes, if you want to be buried there, don't die until the middle of 2016. And that reminds me, on a more serious note, that you cannot make reservations. So you know, just hang loose.
All right, so that's the update on that. And I have to tell you, I had to go over to St. Pete, and I don't actively represent anymore, but I made an exception for a long time volunteer and supporter of AVEP Project. How you doing out there, Tim? I know you're listening. We made a trip over to St. Pete, and I represented him before a hearing officer regarding an issue on appeal. And I got to tell you, folks, one thing Glenn and I always stress is you must persevere.
Yes, absolutely.
You get started down the road of filing a VA claim, even if they throw some paper back at you that says you've been denied. If you believe that it's well-grounded and that you deserve it, then you better fight for it, and you better not give up.
Absolutely, because they, especially when the pressure's on them now to get things done fast, guess what happens to quality when you try and get things done fast? Quality goes down the shower drain, I guess.
Down the drain. That's good enough. Well, it was a long day, but on the way back, I happened to snap a couple pictures of our illustrious VA Medical Center that someday is going to be open over in Lake Nona in Orlando. And Glenn, you were talking about the cemetery being, you know, in the queue. It's going to happen. Well, I'm still curious as to when the VA Medical Center is going to open. It is a beautiful looking facility from a distance.
Yeah, and let me say this about that. The article in the paper, I believe it was yesterday, about the opening of the primary care clinic at that site where the hospital's going to be.
Okay.
That was a diversion. I don't know what that meant after I read it. I've been doing this business 22 years, and I don't know what because they've got the old site there where they use that as a clinic until the new hospital opens, and I understand they're going to keep that old clinic open.
The Lake Baldwin?
Also. Lake Baldwin area, correct. I don't know what that newspaper article that the VA released to them, I don't know what they were trying to say other than I said, this is a diversion to take people's mind off of, we're further behind. That's me talking, and I believe that with my whole heart.
So if you want to make some noise on that, you certainly can. You're going to have to make some phone calls. I think Congressman Posey's office here for Brevard County residents would be a good place to start.
Oh, absolutely, and that's 632 1776.
I love the last four digits there. Say it again.
632 1776. You ought to be able to remember that. You just have to remember the prefix.
Exactly. So, and that's to make some noise about the VA Medical Center at Lake Nona being so far behind and way over budget. And I will share with you that it is not unheard of that a government project gets done in time or even, you know, ahead of schedule and under budget, because we just had that happen with the AFTAC building out at Patrick Air Force Base.
Yeah, which I thought was a miracle based on my experience in the military. Unfortunately, they get hung up on some federal rules and stuff that private companies don't have, that somehow ends up slowing down the process, and then you get into a hassle between the lawyers for the contractor and the lawyers for the military, and that's just a further delay. So they don't build things as fast as you see non-military structures built. But I think there's a reason, and that's there's more restrictions on the building of the building itself in the military, because they're complying with federal and not just local.
And you mentioned a word that I'm going to throw across the bow here for those that are seriously disabled, and that's restrictions. Imagine if you came back from a deployment and you had to have a limb taken, and I'm talking to one in particular guy that I know is out there listening right now. He just had an ATK, an above-the-knee amputation of his right leg. Love you, Bernard. I know you're going to do well. These guys and gals that come back, whether it's a traumatic brain injury or you know, this doesn't affect post-traumatic stress disorder, but there are, and we're talking about special monthly compensation. Let me get that out of the way. Special monthly compensation for severely disabled folks, okay?
Yeah, a topic not many veterans, well, let me lead in and say, veterans struggle with the basic claim. Special monthly compensation, service officers struggle with that because of the complexity of it. But we'll give you some information about it, because in effect that's extra money above the compensation you're getting for your disability. Now, so if you're getting 60% for a disability and you qualify for special monthly compensation, you would get more compensation on top of what you were getting.
Exactly, and SMC, special monthly compensation, is governed by statute, 38 United States Code 1114, K through T. They've added a new one, T.
T, okay.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a moment. If you're looking for the codified version, it's in 38 CFR, Code of Federal Regulations, 3.350. And Glenn mentioned that it's intricate, it's involved, and that's a good thing in many respects, because we're all affected differently. But if you lose a limb, and we'll go into some of the criteria here, but even if you lost the use of a creative organ, whether you're a man or woman, all right, you're going to be afforded special compensation, special monthly compensation for that. And it's important that sometimes the VA may not, I would hope that they do a much better job of our severely disabled veterans in rating their cases, but I've caught plenty, as I'm sure you have, Glenn.
Oh, absolutely.
Where they've either missed it or misapplied it, or not given them the level that they deserve or are entitled to.
Yeah, all of the above. The most common mistake I see is they just didn't apply it at all. But talking about loss of use of creative organ being some special monthly compensation, I don't know, it's about $93 a month right now.
103 actually.
Okay. Oh, 103. Well,
they call it a special K. You get a K.
Special K, and it's tied into another disability that Vietnam veterans can get, prostate cancer due to exposure to Agent Orange.
Good information here, people.
And that normally will lead to loss of use of creative organ due to the surgical procedures they use to fix the prostate cancer. And of course, if women have a hysterectomy, then that's going to be a loss of use of creative organ. So on top of the 50% they would get for that, they would get the extra, now $103 a month.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because our female warfighters, if they are on active duty and they had, as you mentioned, a hysterectomy, great example, that's loss of use of a creative organ, all right? And they were on active duty, so it's service connected, and you want to make sure, if you're in that population that we're talking about right now, you need to check your rating and make sure that they have awarded you a K.
Exactly.
Because a lot of times those get missed.
And make sure they also gave you 50% for the hysterectomy.
Exactly. So again, and if you have any questions about this, this is how involved it can get and how quickly we can get into the weeds. But Glenn can sort all that out for you. How do they get a hold of you?
Get a hold of me at Glenn, Glenn, at AVET Project, altogether, AVETPROJECT.org.
Glenn, 2 N's, at avetproject.org if you have issues with a claim or need some assistance. SMCK also includes horrible things like losing a hand or a foot or even both buttocks. And we mentioned the creative organs. You lose an eye, or if you have deafness, you know, with the absence of air and bone conduction. But it goes so much deeper than that. It goes special monthly compensation. I mean, just look, Glenn, they've added to this from now. You go through K, and the next grade up is L, L.5, M, M.5, N, N.5, O and P, R1, R2, S, and then now there is a T. Now, when I started coming up in the system, and it seems a little off color maybe, but when you get to R, all right, when somebody is basically declared a vegetable, well, it was taught to me that R represents rutabaga. You're a vegetable, but my God, my heart goes out to the men and women veterans that are at level R and R2, but their compensation reflects how seriously disabled they are. Can you believe we're out of time? We'll get to this more later, but Glenn, we got to share this always.
Yeah, if you're a veteran in need of help, you're considering suicide, or you're just really struggling, call the Veterans Crisis Line, 1-800-273-8255, and for veterans, press 1.
One more time.
1-800-273-8255, veterans, press 1, and as always, please don't forget a vet.